I am your brother in Christ, and welcome back. It's been a little while. I took a break last week. Just so many things were happening with the 4th of July that I needed to take a breather. So my beard is growing in quite well. Look, it's all fancy. I get to twist everything, stuff it up. Okay, pull out my earphones and let's get started here. Today I've got an interesting video. It's on a prophecy that I saw. It was actually sent to me by a former pastor of mine that I have a lot of respect for. So I wanted to review it with you guys, take a look at it. Hopefully everything is working today for it. But without further ado, let's get this intro started. Here we go. So we're going to go ahead and dive into this prophecy that he's got. We're going to examine it. We'll take it apart, piecemeal it, and sort of get an interpretation of it. I know that the original video was 15 minutes long. After I'm done here, I don't think I put the link to the original video in the description. I will go ahead and add that once we are done with the live stream itself. But let's go ahead and pull up this video. Let's add it to the screen, and I will let him introduce everything right there. And hey, welcome. It's good to see you. Actually, I haven't seen you before, I don't think, on here. So you are more than welcome. Throw you up there. Oh, fancy. Getting so fancy on me. Bonjour to you too. Probably from our Apologetics Empire Discord server. Okay, let's get into this prophecy for the United States.
This is Dana Coverstone. I'm a pastor, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a patriot. I love this country. And I can confirm the first part of what I'm about to tell you because I told some men at a prayer group back in December, second or third week of December. I want to share 3 specific dreams that I've had recently. Going back to December, 2 that I've had this week, both Monday and last night, Monday and Tuesday night. Because I believe, number one, they are prophetic. The first one that I had has come explicitly true based on the events of March through June, the month in which we're living. And I do not claim to be a prophet by any means. I understand, though, that some dreams and visions by their nature have a prophetic tendency to them. But I do believe I've seen things, both that have happened as relevant by the first dream that I had, and some things that I've seen recently.
Okay, I'm going to pause him right there for a second now, just to let you guys know this was uploaded on, at least the original video was uploaded on the 15th. I mean, the 25th of June. Okay. So just want to give you guys that context. So just as a reference of when this was released, that we know that this prophecy was put forth.
So you can take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt. You can pray about it. You can think about it. But I believe that I have a warning for the country, a warning for rural America, a warning for America overall. But here's what happened. Back in December, I woke up, I had a dream, and in that dream, I saw a calendar starting January 2020, and it was being flipped. And I saw January, I saw February, I saw March. And when March came up, the hand held it, and I saw a finger underline the month of March and then tap it 3 times. So underline the month of March, tapped it 3 times. So to me, it was emphasis. Something's going to happen in March. And then I saw April, May, June. And when June came, the hand underlined June again and tapped it 3 times. Then in the vision, I saw people marching. I saw protests. I saw people wearing masks. I saw lines going into hospitals. I saw typical medical doctors with needles or syringes. I saw people on ventilators. I saw people who were very, very sick, very, very ill. I saw newspaper headlines trumpeting thousands of people getting sick. I saw ambulances just flying down roads. And then I saw cities on fire. I saw buildings being burned. I saw protesters with masks. I saw people who had their fists in the air, people who were yelling and screaming. angry as just at the world. I saw courthouses. I saw state houses surrounded. I saw people who were mad at the world. I saw.
So, for those of you who are familiar with what is going on in the world so far, this definitely seems to be predicting. Again, this is from a dream he had back in November, according to what he's saying. So, we don't know necessarily. We don't really have any proof that he actually had these dreams because, again, this was released on June 25th. So, I don't really see any. I am skeptical by nature. So it has to actually show me some serious proof for me to jump on board with any sort of prophecy, anything like that. So that's what he's saying. It looks like in his dream, it looks like Black Lives Matter. I mean, if you look at the symbol for Black Lives Matter, and I think I had it in the thumbnail for this video, you had the fist up. You see that all over the place, definitely wherever Black Lives Matter has a protest or riot, let's be honest, what it actually is an absolute riot. So let's go ahead and dive on back into this. I just thought that imagery of the fist was quite critical.
Oh, I saw guns, shotguns specifically put in the air, held like this, and I saw barriers within cities. And I told several men in my church about this, and I can confirm who those men were, and they'll confirm that what I'm telling you is what I told them. I saw absolute chaos. And the other thing I saw was.
Now, on that subject, I did try to reach out to the church, actually, just today. That just popped in my mind as I was preparing for this video that I hadn't done that yet. I tried to reach out to him specifically in order to talk to him. I'm hoping over the next week maybe to get a hold of him, maybe get his opinions on this, at least his insights into this, or allow him. Whose audio is off? Was the audio for the video off again? My gosh, is this not a bunch of technical difficulties today? I'm trying to get all fancy with this stuff. You and the video. Okay, you can hear the video. Can you hear me? Or has my wife muted her phone and is blaming me? I don't know. It's always my fault anyway, so I'm just going to go with that role. Now I'm messing. I gave her a hard time. I shouldn't give her such a hard time when she's sick. Okay. So again, like I said, I reached out to the church. I wasn't able to get hold of anyone. Okay. Okay, fine. I don't know why the lips are off. Everything's set fine here. So we'll see if I can get a hold of him, maybe be able to release a follow-up video on that. But let's go ahead, because he references them, says, hey, I can give you people that would witness this. Now, again, if they're really thinking that there is some, if they're trying to lie about it, you could have 5 or 6 people trying to lie about it. So again, I'm skeptical. So I'm looking at every way this could be false because I don't want to get taken in. But at the same time, I do want to give most people the benefit of the doubt. So let's continue.
Vultures flying over large cities, not just the ones that were burning, but I saw vultures flying over the cities, and I saw smoke rising, and I saw people fearful. I saw people terrified. I saw people inside their homes and looking out the windows, the curtains of their windows, with guns in their hands because there was absolute fear. Then I heard the words, brace yourself, brace yourself. So since December, I've been hearing those words, brace yourself, brace yourself. January, February came, it didn't seem too much. I reminded the men of the dream. And then in March, boom, COVID-19 hit. And things started shutting down. Churches were shut down. Business was shut down. The economy shut down. Then we began to see the protests starting in May in Minneapolis, and all those things began to go on. So where we are at the end of the primary election here in Kentucky, and now there's talk of more shutdowns. I just heard the governor talk about schools opening back up and things of that nature. But the things that I saw in a dream and vision back in December are the same things that I watched in the news almost every day since March through June. All this time I kept hearing, brace yourself, brace yourself. I spend time in prayer. I spend time in the Word. I'm a pastor. And it's not just my job. It's something that I enjoy doing. I love doing. And I'm very interested in the news around the world. I read 40 newspapers a day from all around the world. I keep up with news in other parts of the nations better sometimes than I hear here, because it's hard to know who to trust. But I get news from all over the world, all around the world, from both liberal and conservative sources. I'm very well read. I'm very understanding of how nations work. I've traveled quite a bit, and I'm not just making these things up. I can confirm what I have said. And with that in mind, on Monday night, I had another dream, and it woke me from my bed. I made notes about it. I shot some video of myself, just making sure I can remember.
Okay, so real quick here, let me pull myself back up. You're shining me back. So he's ended the first dream. He's going into the second one. It seemed to have predicted COVID-19 coming, the shutdowns, all the craziness around that. We're again, this is after the fact. The video was released after all this stuff has happened. Now, as far as personal confirmation, if I was in his position and I had these dreams that might be prophetic, might not, and I was like, don't know, I don't think I would have released a video until I had confirmation personally myself. So that makes kind of a bit of sense to that. I did look up their church. They are Assembly of God, which is a Pentecostal sort of church. So just keep that in mind as we continue this video. So let's go into his second here.
Remember, but here's what I saw. I saw a calendar. Start with the calendar. And as I was having this, the calendar was up, a white figure appeared. And to me, it was representing God, the Holy Spirit, something pure, something righteous, something true, something holy, because there was nothing sinister about it, nothing evil. But I heard the voice say, part two. And I saw June go up. I saw July, I saw August, and then I saw September. And I saw the finger underneath the word September, and like emphasizing it, and tapped it 3 times. And then I saw October come up, and then I saw November. And this is when it got real to me in the dream. I think the intensity, according to my Fitbit, when I woke up, my heart rate was about 180. So that was Monday night. It was also a night that I woke up not feeling very well at all. I was up during the night, not feeling well. But anyway, the minute the finger underlined November 3 times, instead of tapping it, I saw a fist ball up and it hit the calendar. And literally, the calendar exploded into the wall. The numbers seemed like they were 3D and they were falling. They were just flying everywhere. And there was a cloud of chaos that started. And then the next thing I saw was I saw armed protesters. I saw fighting in the streets. I saw people pummeling one another. I saw businesses shuttered and shut up. I saw schools closed. I saw schoolrooms with cobwebs hanging in them, and like things like papers falling off the wall and posters falling, like no one had been in them for months. I saw bank buildings with the roofs being taken off. It looked almost like alien abduction, because money was just flying through the roof into some type of like a vacuum cleaner. I know it sounds kind of strange, but I was watching wealth just being taken. I saw politicians in back rooms making deals with people, patting people on the back and laughing and smiling and smirking. And I saw monuments. I saw Washington, D.C. burning. I saw Washington, D.C. blazing. I saw fires everywhere. I saw people being rounded up. I saw Chinese and Russian soldiers on the ground. And Russian soldiers were telling the Chinese soldiers to go and pick up these people, round up these people, secure this quadrant, secure this area. I saw blue helmets of the UN. I saw military things taking place. I also saw no sign of President Trump. I saw no sign of leadership in Washington, D.C. But the vultures that I had seen were now like gargoyles, and they were 10 feet off the ground, 10 to 15 feet off the ground. and they were just attacking people mercilessly. I saw people hiding in their homes and garages. I saw churches being burned. I saw homes being burned. I saw absolute chaos. And the fist punch on the November of 2020 is what got my attention. And then I heard the words again: brace yourself, brace yourself, brace yourself. That has been something that I have heard for almost 7 months now. Starting once we get to July, it's going to be 7 months. And once again, I'm not claiming to be a prophet. I'm not proclaiming, just let's see what happens in November through November and see if I'm right about this. But I know when I hear God's voice, I know what God's voice sounds like to me. I know when he speaks. I know when I have a dream that I know is.
Okay, let's go ahead and pause there for a second. I see you down there, bud, in the comment section. I just have some quick, I'm scribbling notes as we go through this, just because I wanted a bit more of a fresh reaction from it. As far as the schools, he was saying the schools were shut down. He was seeing that they were basically abandoned. We are seeing that in the United States, actually. As far as the public school systems, they're talking about keeping it closed even next year. Just not even having school, just doing it all online. There's a large push just to keep all the schools closed, period. So there's a lot there. I know your comment down below saying that he talks a lot about China and Russia. China and Russia are kind of major players as far as the world stage goes. You got the United States, China, and Russia. Those are basically it. So if he's talking about them at all, and that's fine. Again, I want to get him on the phone, and I'll probably record the phone interview with him, and then release it later to you guys if I ever get a hold of him. That's the question. If I cannot get a hold of him, because I'd rather get his firsthand, be able to say something in his defense or in his, at least give his point of view. So we've got that. We got the Chinese, Russians. It's like, okay, but I don't know about that. It seems kind of a stretch just because I know China and Russia don't really get along too well, at least currently. That could always change. UN. If crap hits the fan, I could see that. I don't know. So no, somebody said it was no Trump. Now, that's interesting. Why wouldn't Trump be involved? I'm not sure. Okay, hold on here. We got my skull is actually really small. Oh, yes. There are a lot of smalls. US won't close. 50 or so students. Yes, there's some that haven't closed. I'm talking about the major ones I know all around us. They are closed. A lot of people are looking at homeschooling, which it's funny that is becoming the major thing now, is homeschooling. So we've got that. The whole vultures he's talking about, we do see that currently. We see that's cancel culture that's going on right now as far as the major movements. We are definitely seeing that, and that's something that's really come more in line after he's released this video. So that's basically what I'm seeing there. I do like they saying just wait until September. So in order for his prophecy to be true, there are a couple of things from this that I can take and be like, this has got to line up. So first of all, he didn't have anything for July. So we have between July and September, we have nothing. So it's going to be relatively peaceful for those. I say relatively because I won't say anything new that pop up. We're still having COVID come back. At least the cases spike. Well, when you have a whole bunch of protesters who are right next to each other, what a big surprise. I mean, it doesn't take two brain cells to rub together to realize that it might be a possibility of a reason why it's spread. So we do have that. But in order for his prophecy to be true, there must not be any major events between July and September. September, something needs to happen that makes it look like the other ones. So if his other dream is in line with this one, then we saw COVID-19 first. So that was something that was underscored 3 times. So something on that level happening in September, either that we are seeing the hospitals overloaded, we are seeing a new version of COVID that is actually a bit more potent, let's say, than what we've been given so far, which is not reached any of the original estimates at all. So, and then September comes along after that. So it needs to be
relatively peaceful.
I mean, October is good. We should be fine in October. And then November is when the crap hits the fan and everything goes. That's also the election. I could tell you straight off without any spiritual insight that something's going to happen in November, just because that's election. If Trump wins, we will definitely see a lot of protests based off of that, a bunch of riots, and if they're on the same level as what we're seeing now, we could have some serious problems. That I can tell you just plain and simple, just because of how they reacted the first time he got elected. Now, if Trump loses, then we have a different ballpark. Let's be honest, the right normally just rolls along with it. So they won't be, I wouldn't expect to see riots unless there was something really shady going on with that itself. Instead of going with states, instead of going with the Electoral College, they decide to go by popular vote. I could see there being some real big problems. She says, yeah, it's going to be nuts if Trump's reelected. Yes, I do like how Trump has been so far, by the way. I do like what he's done. I think he should have been a little more aggressive when it came to these protests, because that's plain and simple. CHAZ was treason. CHAZ was treason and should have been treated as such. But I think that we will have a lot of bad things happen just because people don't like losing. So, and they've got social media, the mega media have been pushing quite a bit, quite hard. Elle is my wife, by the way, so America, the USA, just to let you know. So let's go ahead and continue, because I think we've only crossed 2 of his dreams. We still have the 3rd one. So that would be, if any one of those is false, if there is a major event in July or in August, then that automatically proves this prophecy wrong. But there has to be something major in September. If there's something major in September, I'm locking down. I'm getting all ready for a crap hitting the fan, just because it lines up. So then October, there's not going to be anything big. And then November, all crap hits the fan. And it sounds like it's like end of the United States Civil War level, which I have been saying for actually a few years, that we've been heading down if nothing changes. If nothing changes and we continue this path, the United States is heading for Civil War. There's no doubt about that. So let's go ahead and dive back into this video.
Him. And the things that I was seeing, I don't say this to scare people, but I say this to warn people that there are some pretty sinister things coming down the pike. And not just for the lost, but for God's people as well. The second dream I had last night, and it woke me up. In this dream, we just had a yard sale to help fund a team going to Ecuador this next year. And we had a yard sale. And I had asked our secretary to get us some change for that yard sale. So in the dream that I'm having, I walk into the bank to get some change. And on the door, it says there's no change available. I saw the sign, it registered in my mind, but I walked on in, and the president of the local bank was at the teller station. And she was going to be taking care of business. And I said, I need to get $10 in quarters for a yard sale. And she said, I'm sorry, but the U.S. Mint is no longer making currency or making change, like pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, half dollars. We're not doing that anymore. And I was like, well, what do you mean? She said, they've stopped doing it. And I said, well, how are we going to be able to charge $1.50 for anything? And she said, prepare for hyperinflation and just charge $2. And then she said to me in the dream, oh, and by the way, $1 and $5 bills will follow soon after that. And then I heard those words, brace yourself, brace yourself, brace yourself. And I woke up, I wrote these things down. I've never gone on video and recorded the dreams that I've had. And I hesitated to not do the one I had back in December. But everything I saw in that dream in December came true between March and June, when in the dream I was showed March through June. And so I don't think I would be doing anyone a service if I don't share what I saw in these dreams and visions. And I believe that we're going to see not just a second huge wave of COVID between September, October, November, but we're going to see major things with the elections. We're going to see major chaos in our country. We're going to see troops in our cities. We're going to see the protests get even worse. We're going to see buildings burn. We're going to see what could only lead to civil war in this country. And so for my friends that are believers, I'm just going to share you what I think you need to hear. First of all, you need to be preparing.
Okay, we're going to pause right there real quick. We'll pull back up. There we go. My face is back. Fantastic. Okay, so that was his third and last dream. We'll let him finish off here in a little bit. Examine what he's saying after the fact. And I think that is how he words the prophecy after this fact will be critical. So, first of all, he mentioned the banks not giving change. I mean, when I originally watched this video, that seemed wacko. I mean, really. I know they've talked about getting rid of the penny before because it's just such a small amount. I mean, it's not really used in currency just because of inflation nowadays. Not really used to pay anything. Everything's quarter size. Yeah, everything's a dime size or greater. You don't really see pennies being used very much. Occasionally, yes, but not as much as not. So the yard sale and the bank's not giving change. So what shocked me is just a couple of days ago, my mother came to me and said, oh, did you know the banks, the local banks here have stopped giving change? And that was as of last Friday, she told me that they've stopped giving change, that they are no longer doing that. Now, that's odd. That's something I didn't think was going to come down. It is in line with it, but still trying to be a little skeptical about this. But at the same time, my mother-in-law is now doing garage sales. In fact, this is the garage sale season we're in the middle of here. So everywhere's opening up their garage sales, doing their sales, and the banks aren't giving change. So that is perfectly in line with this, actually, which is what actually made me want to make this video, because that was confirmation of something that he said was coming down the pipe. Didn't give a specific time frame for. That would be something that would be happening between now and between when he released the video and November. So it would be something between those 2 points, but yet that's a bit of confirmation for me personally. It just seems a bit odd that something so specific during garage sale season would happen. So now he's talking about hyperinflation. Yeah, hyperinflation is something we've been talking about for a while. So that's kind of like, that's kind of weak. It's like saying, yeah, during winter we're going to have snow. Hyperinflation is something that's been coming down for quite a while. If anyone who is aware of how the American currency works, ever since we got off the gold standard, we have been working with what's known as fiat currency, which is basically just paper. And the only thing is that paper is only worth as much as I believe it's worth if I'm trading something for it. So if, for example, I have my drink here, someone wants to buy my drink, they need to give me something I think is of equivalent or greater value than this drink is. If we both agree that, yes, money is much easier to carry around than a steak or something else that I would want in trade for this. Now, if you trade me a steak, good sirloin steak for this, I think you're getting gypped. But the point is that with fiat currency, there's nothing backing it. It's just money. And Obama's been printing money like crazy when he was when he was the president. Trump has not stopped printing money either. So that's something that's currently still coming down the chain. Definitely with COVID originally blocking up a lot of our trade, a lot of our industry being stopped. There's a lot higher demand, definitely for food. And if you're in America, if you walked into a Walmart recently, definitely over the last few weeks now, I think they've been getting a little bit better with this. Maybe the supply is coming back up a bit better, but there was large section of shelving that was bare. There's bare shelving. That's something that's been unheard of in all my life in the United States. So it's something that's unusual in the United States. We're not supposed to have that. I know in third world countries, yes, you do. It's actually quite common, but it's a mark to show how bad it was getting as far as our supply chain went, and it was really shutting down there for a while. We're just seeing the reaction so much further back. So we're seeing that prices have gone up. If you go out to any fast food restaurant, their prices are a lot more expensive than when I worked fast food, and it hasn't been that long. So yes, hyperinflation is something that definitely could come down. In order to bat hyperinflation, a lot of times the things that you can do are invest in gold, invest in silver, those sort of avenues. I've already taken some steps to do stuff like that, as well as other equipment. So let's go ahead and finish off his video and see how he handles the rest of this prophecy.
Food. You make sure you've got alternative forms of currency like silver or gold or whatever. I believe you need to have an ample supply of both guns and ammunition. And that's not just the Second Amendment fan in me coming out. That is the things that we're seeing. They're talking about defunding the police. That means one thing: you're on your own in a lot of areas. I also believe you need to be praying like you've never prayed before. Make sure your family knows what's going on. Have some communication between your family about if certain things happen, if certain things go down. I'm not saying get off the grid, and I've never, ever said anything like this in my church. I have said I believe things like this could happen, but I've never done what I'm doing right now. And I'm telling you that between September and November of this coming year, and you'll be able to check me, if by the time we get to November nothing's happened, or December 1st, man, you call me on this and say, Dana Coverstone, you are an absolute idiot and a fool for saying those things. Go right ahead. But I realize I'm responsible for what I've spoken. But I also know what I sense, and I know the Holy Spirit's voice enough to know that what I've heard, I believe is going to happen. What I heard in December happened between March and June. Not because I'm a prophet, but because dreams have a prophetic edge to them sometimes. I've been doing a whole series on dreams and visions. I'm going to finish that series up tonight on my at our church, and I'm going to talk about why dreams and visions are literally an extension of the spiritual gifts of 1 Corinthians chapter 12, because word of wisdom, word of knowledge, discernment, all those things are required for dreams. And I pray, Lord, show me what these things mean that I have seen. Show me how to interpret them and what they are. And right now, as I speak this, it is June 24th, Wednesday night at 5:30 p.m. in Burkesville, Kentucky. I'm in my office at the church, Living Room Ministries in Burkesville, Kentucky, sharing this. Not to scare you, because I believe, look, God gave the prophets of the Old Testament a lot of warnings, not to scare people, but to prepare them for what was coming. And so I'm challenging you. Don't just throw my word away. Don't just think I'm some preacher trying to get people to come. That's not it either. Because look, the Bible says the last days will be a great falling away. Jesus tells people to endure to the end. Make sure you endure to the end. Why? Because people want to endure sound doctrine. They're gonna hear something. Some are gonna hear me and go, "Oh man, he is on drugs or something." I'm just telling you the dreams I've had. You can do with them. You can interpret them the way that you want to. But I'm going to declare that I believe we're going to see between September and November incredible, terrible, awful, nasty, bad things happen in this nation. And for the people who are not prepared for it, it's not just going to catch them in a bad place. It's going to destroy a lot of faith, a lot of hearts, a lot of relationships, a lot of people. The aim is to kill this nation. Because right now we are a nation that stands in the way of a lot of the Antichrist principles like freedom, liberty, justice, First Amendment, Second Amendment. The Antichrist doesn't want those things. And yes, I do believe the Antichrist is alive and well on planet Earth. And I don't really care what people think about this video. You can call me whatever you want. You can say whatever you want about me, but wait till December the 1st to say it. And if I'm wrong, I'll be the first one to come out and say, folks, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what I ate that night. I've never had two dreams like this. I've never had a part one, part two. Part one came fully true. And part two, I believe, will as well. So, heed my words, folks. Believers, stop messing around if you're not living for the Lord like you need to. Because the press, there's an olive press moment coming for the church in this country. An olive press moment. And we're going to get crushed and squeezed and pushed down. That's why I believe God keeps saying, brace yourself. He's saying this to me so I can say it to you. Brace yourself for the things that are coming. Endure till the end, no matter how hard it gets. I'm not giving up the faith that I have in Christ. I've come too far in this walk and too far in my life to do that. But I want to make sure that others don't make that mistake and don't just walk away from it. Take up the cross, deny yourself, and follow him. Thanks for listening.
Okay, sorry about the mic not being muted. Sometimes with these videos, it counts on how the player's working on here. It's kind of a new setup. Sometimes it does block my audio, sometimes it doesn't, so I'm not really sure one way or the other. We have mentioned, right now by a year supply of food for 100 would not be bad to do. Canned food is good. I know there's some different companies out there that provide preserved food. Wouldn't be bad to do. Something that you might want to look into is something specifically is to learn how to grow, how to can. Both of those are critical. Both of those can help preserve food and provide. Something with fiat currency is the money might become worthless just because if everyone agrees that the $100 is not worth a year's supply of food, if the person who's selling the food says, that's not worth it, it's now 150. Or that currency, paper money, all that's good for is wiping your behind. So that's not worth the food. Then you're up a creek without a paddle. And what are you going to trade? What are you going to use at that point? Food is something that will never, ever, ever go out of demand. So if you have enough for yourself and enough to provide, that's fantastic. And it's something that you need to know. Now, I grew up on a farm. My grandparents still have their really nice farm. We have ours going. I've learned how to grow food, how to can, how to do all that stuff since I was a young child. So I already know that stuff. I'm already equipped with that. My mother made sure that was nailed into my head in order to survive. Next thing is, how are you going to protect? There was big movement now in the United States to abolish police officers, to abolish the police. I mean, that is nuts in my mind. That's absolutely nuts. But that makes such a... I would have thought a lot of the stuff happening this year would have been crazy at the beginning of the year anyway. So me standing here and saying, oh no, they would never abolish the police, that'd be crazy. Okay. Let's go ahead and prepare in case they do. So we had another comment here I wanted to pull up. Yes, learn how to purify water. Purification of water is not hard to do, counting on where you live. If you have access to flowing water, just a simple stream or river, then you can boil the water. If you can bring it up to boil, you've killed 99% of the stuff. I used to be a scoutmaster. We used to teach these to the boys how to survive. I feel quite confident that if any one of my former Boy Scouts was left in the middle of the woods for a week on their own, that they could survive without any difficulty. Well, without much difficulty. It'd still be a bit of work. It's still work required. But purifying water is quite easy as long as you get access to water. So if you can find yourself a fresh water source, make sure that you have access to it. We have access to a freshwater source, something that's easy. Also, be prepared in case power outages go. I know I'm going, oh, you're all going crazy. You're all going preppy. You're being a nutso. Well, yeah, I am someone who prepares for the worst and hopes for the best. That way, if the worst does come by, I'm set. I mean, that's the same thing that I was saying with COVID-19 originally. I was saying, we don't know how bad this is going to be. Just prepare for the worst, but yet hope for the best. And then it ended up being something that wasn't as big of a deal as we originally assumed. A lot of people were declaring, like Black Plague level, and I was looking at this, and I did all the statistics on it. I said, no, not that bad. Not bad, but not that bad. Get a compound bow. You can always make arrows. Arrows are harder to make than you may think. Learn how to make arrows beforehand. Fletching is a skill that you will need to develop, hone, and get really good at if you want to make those. If you use compound bow, one that I would recommend that would be probably easier would be a crossbow. I do have a crossbow for hunting and enough arrows to kill about anything. So enough arrows to kill just by throwing them at him. Just because when I buy stuff, when I get stuff, I stock up. I don't want to ever have to go buy more crossbow bolts. So I have plenty of crossbow bolts. I got plenty of ends. I got a sight. I got all the stuff ready to go. And I do have that all set up for deer hunting or rabbit or whatever I would need to do. But yet, arrows are something that you can reuse. Yes, true. Just like with anything that you're going to be using, anything that you're going to prep with, you have to make sure you are prepared for it. For example, check that real quick. Okay. This doesn't do very good if I'm not used to firing it. If I've never fired this before and I go out for the first time to fire it in a situation where it's life and death, yeah, that's not very good. It's not good. Yes, I checked to make sure it wasn't loaded. I made sure, and yes, I had to mute. One of the reasons I muted it, just because I checked when I brought it over to make sure that it was not loaded, and that's a loud clicky sound in your ears. But yet, be prepared. Train with what you have. If you got crossbow for hunting, train that. Another aspect of that is protection. With abolishing the police, you're going to have to rely on yourself as well as your neighbors in order to protect yourself. It's no good if you have all the food in the world and no way of protecting it, because what's going to happen? Everyone else is going to kill you and take it. That's what the end result is. Definitely, if you don't have any law enforcement out there, definitely if they're doing this crap like they've been pushing down with I can't remember his name. I did a whole video on him. What happened down at the Wendy's in Atlanta? That officer. Really? You're going to charge him with that? You're going to arrest him and then charge him for self-defense? Again, I would not work as a police officer under those requirements. There's no way for me to know if I'm going to work and I defend myself in a obviously justified position that I would not end up going to jail. So get used to it. Unfortunately, guns like such as this one and other guns use ammo, use bullets, unless you are used to restocking them. Doesn't really work too well, because eventually you're going to run out of it. It's going to be a limited resource that you're eating through. Although ammo could very likely become a very good trading resource, just because it would be extremely valuable. So if you have an ammo that is very commonly used by most of the guns that people use, now the ammo for this Desert Eagle is not something that most people would carry. It's a 44 Magnum. It's not that 50 cal, okay? It's not the 50 cal. I didn't do the 50 cal. Still kicks like a freaking beast, though. If you ever shot a 12 gauge shotgun, it's like having that in your hand. It is a bear. But 5.56 is a pretty good ammo. Let me see. No, I don't have any of that with me. But a 5.56 is common. A lot of people use it. It is standard. Most assault rifles use it. So that would not be bad. And yes, the breech is open. There's nothing in there. It's all clear. Still need to clean it. That's all set. So you got to get used to it. That's the advantage crossbows or compound bows would have over guns. It's not that they are more, in a way they are. They're devastating in a different way. But they are also reusable, which does give an advantage. So that was just reinforcement of that. Gotcha. Okay. Oh my goodness. So we sped through that one pretty quick. I figure when I'm on my own, I just speed through my stuff and I don't really time myself very good. No. So let's go ahead and see if you guys have any questions. Leave it in the comments. Unfortunately, my wife will not be able to join us, but we do have a cute baby distraction. And it is one epic one today. I am greatly looking forward to it. It's very, very cute. Very cute. Very, very, very cute. Very cute. Hopefully I cut out all the copyrighted music off of it. Yeah. Because I don't want to get in trouble. Because I don't want to be a problem. So go ahead and put your questions in the live chat if you have any. Slingshots. Oh, actually, slingshots are a fantastic way. I've seen them used for hunting. You can use slingshots for smaller prey, such as rabbits. You can use slingshots, and they will kill rabbits. You get a rock traveling at fast enough speed, you'll kill them. I know that a lot of slingshots nowadays use basically like little brass or little metal pellets instead. But you can use, if you get some that can still use can still use rocks, go ahead and use those. Those are fantastic to use. Switch Army knife is a great multi-tool that you can use. I have quite a few. Just over my years in the Scouts, I've kept quite a few ready to go. It would not be bad to keep a few. Then again, get used to using it. Get used to what it takes to use it. Machetes are nice as far as clearing brush. They're very effective. Not so much as you can use them as weapons, but they're not as effective as some other things. Hatchets are also very handy as far as survival tool goes for both self-defense and clearing brush. Very, very handy. But get used to using them. Don't have flubbery arms and then decide, I'm going to cut down a tree because I feel like it. You'll get about a quarter of the way through and be like, oh, this is a lot of work. So yes, there's a lot of physical work that goes along with it. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and throw them down there. Unfortunately, like I said, my wife is not feeling good. She is in the comment section talking to people, but she's not feeling good, and I will greatly ask for your prayers for her today. So I think that's it. Now I know that at least someone mentioned that this pastor did make another video. I have not yet seen it. I'll have to take a look at it. Let me see if I can find that comment real quick here. Though he was mentioning about black beans. Black beans are a great source. You can that and potatoes. You mix both those together, you'll be good. Definitely potatoes. You can. That's one of the reasons we had such a problem with potatoes in Ireland. Is they would, with 4 acres of land, you can grow enough potatoes easily to feed a family and then some for a year. So, and you can survive off potatoes. So they are a great source of nourishment. Although it kind of gets boring if all you have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner is baked potatoes. It would get annoying.
They're very repetitive.
I'm not seeing that comment.
Darn, I was hoping to get all fancy.
But yeah, you mentioned that there was another video that this pastor did. I have not seen it yet. I'm still in the middle of making sure that... Oh, I see my wife's comment. Her wonderful sunchokes. Yes, go get yourself some wonderful sunchokes. They taste just like good stuff. I don't know. They don't taste like anything to me. They taste like bland potatoes. That's what they taste like to me. And they're pretty good, and you can survive off of those as well. And they're very easy to grow in a lot of different situations. My wife is growing quite a few out there. She claims they're better than tomatoes. I don't know. Put her in timeout. That's what I'm going to do. No. I don't think they are better. No. Baked potato is still much better. Definitely with a little bit of chives on there, maybe. But no. Not better. Not better at all. Okay. Okay, now I give timeout now. I can still give timeout, I think, to mods, can't I? I don't know.
I don't know. She can also do nasty things to my channel, so I will let it be.
But if you got any other questions,
don't do that yet. No loud noises yet.
Okay. If you have any other questions, throw it in the chat. If not, I have
the obvious baby distraction for you ladies and gentlemen who have
decided to join us today.
So let's go ahead.
Give you about another minute to ask any questions.
Time is ticking.
My wife is threatening to time me out.
I'm not surprised, considering she could come over here and kick my butt.
So it won't be good. No, YouTube doesn't need to see that. That's not family friendly in any way, shape, or form, or PG-13.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and stop before my wife actually does come over here and kick my butt. Hey, hands on the wheel, buddy. You need to keep going.
I mean, he's got the 9. He's got the 9 and 3 down.
Hey, Ma, look, no hands.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a beep beep. I want to do it again.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, can you say bye-bye? Bye-bye. Bye-bye.